about business writing, I want you all to focus on certain things wherein we talk about the effective writing skills. What are the ways in which we can convey the information, we can write the messages, or we can share the information in an effective way. Then we are also going to talk about the different composition writing styles, the paragraph writing style, and how grammar is considered as important in writing any of these business letters. So the first thing that comes in the mind is business messages. And when we talk about business messages, I want you all to keep a proper understanding that the message that we want to convey, the message that we want to inform, the message that we want to deliver, the message that we want to instruct could be divided into these four categories. This is routine, positive, negative, and persuasive. Now, quickly, let us understand when we talk about routine messages are those messages which are written time and again, which are written from time to time on regular basis. Say, for example, your like meeting with your clients, you are going to share the report related to the client meeting every now and then with your senior. Similarly, when you are talking about your attendance record, every month you may be sharing, if you are signing your biometric signature is being marked. So every month the HR will be checking your biometric attendance, and then your salary or the payment or process would be functioning or will be held. So routine messages are those messages which are regular basis, which are shared, which are informed, which are conveyed on regular basis to the other members. Please remember, when we talk about routine messages are those which are on regular. When I say regular, it doesn't mean every day. Sometimes it will be weekly, sometimes it will be fortnightly, sometimes it could be monthly, sometimes it could be quarterly, sometimes it can also happen biannual or annual. But routine is something which is known to you, that yes, this is what you have to do. For example, if I talk about the life of student, assignments, they are part and parcel of your life. So every now and then you will be asked to write or to submit the assignment. Similarly, your attendance, when you are attending any class, your teachers are marking your attendance, and every month your attendance will be shared with you all. So that is a routine information that you are going to gain. Similarly, if you're a student, you may have to pay the semester fees, you may have to pay the transportation charges. If you avail the hostel facility, you may have to pay the hostel charges. So whenever we talk about the information that you're going to get on regular basis related to these common things, they will become a part of your routine messages. Positive messages. Positive messages are those messages which are generally shared when we want to encourage, when we want to congratulate, when we are sharing something good, or whenever we want to praise someone, when we are trying to appraise someone, then we write the positive messages. What I'm trying to say is, through positive messages, the information that we will be sharing will make people happy. Say, for example, if you have submitted your assignment and if you get a comment from your faculty saying that you have performed very well, you have done very good job, or even in your examination, if you have scored very well, the message that you receive from the other person is considered as a positive message. The opposite of positive would become negative. Say, for example, you're working in an organization, they have given you certain tasks, and you are regularly unable to perform, unable to complete, and unable to do, or unable to cope up with the pressure or with the stress, and you are not able to perform as per the expectation of the organization, the message that you are going to receive from the seniors would be negative. They may blame you, they may scold you, they may even try to correct you, they may try to motivate you. But after motivation, say, for example, even after regular like comments, even after regular reminders, even after regular warning, if you don't change, ultimately you're going to get the negative message. Negative message could be related to death, could be related to termination, could be related to the poor performance. So these are negative messages that happens even in our day-to-day life. Say, for example, your parents, they ask you to wake up early in the morning, and if you don't listen to them, and if you are a person who wakes up very late, so the message that you're going to receive from your parent would be the negative one. And finally, persuasive messages. Persuasive messages are those messages wherein you motivate, you encourage, you influence, you try to bring positive change. Instead of going to negative, what do? You first try to present persuasive messages. Let me give you an example. Let us take an example of the two candidates who are there in this particular class, Dayakant Kudar and Simran. Now, Simran is unable to finish off her assignment. So, what Dayakant is going to do, if he is the team leader of the team where Simran is also a team member, instead of giving the negative message that you are not fit for this particular team, he will try to motivate her, he will try to influence her, he will try to encourage her. He may say that, look, this went wrong, but this is the right way of doing. You may give proper hand holding, you may mentor her, you may even guide her, you may even help her beyond your like limitation. You may help in different ways. So what you are doing, you are persuading. When we talk about persuasion, please remember, persuasion means encouraging, persuasion means you are motivating, persuasion means you are trying to influence other with your own activities and act. So I hope everybody could understand the four different types of messages. I am going to ask you certain questions and you have to name it. What kind of message is it a routine message or positive message or negative message or persuasive messages? For routine, do write RO. For positive, write PO. For negative, write NE. And for persuasive, write PE. Are we all ready? Let me see how many of you are going to answer my questions spontaneously. Sending attendance. Quickly, sending attendance. What kind of message it would be? Routine, positive, negative, or persuasive? Divya Prakash, very good. Fareed Alam, very good. Excellent. Yes, Simran, very good. Good, Ranbir Rana. Good, Kant. Now let us do it a bit little fast. All right. Let us not take too much of time. I'm going to ask you very quickly, and I want the responses again from your side very quickly. All right. Getting zero and the scolding from parents. Getting zero marks in one of the test, and your parents scolding you. Very good, Divya Prakash. Negative. Then next, congratulating your friend on getting promotion. Your friend is having the habit of smoking and you are asking him or her to quit smoking. Good, Simran. Payment of fees. The information that you receive from admission department or the student relationship officer, that is SRO. Payment of fees. Positive remark on your assignment. Termination letter from the management. Salary. Message related to your salary. Message related to your salary. Message related to bonus because of your performance or incentive because of your performance. Incentive that you receive because of your performance. Deduction in salary because of your poor performance. Deduction in salary because of poor performance. Helping friends to learn. Helping friends to learn. So are we all clear with all the four different types of messages? So I see everybody has answered and they were absolutely right. So could we understand all the four? If you could understand all the four, quickly in the chat box, RPNP, RPNP in the chat box. Let me see who is going to type these four letters first. Not to forget, whenever we are talking, Divya Prakash, very good. So whenever we are talking about the messages, there are four different types of messages. The first one is the routine message. The second is the positive message. The third one is the negative message. And the fourth one is the persuasive messages. All right. So let us understand, apart from messages, what are the common things that we have to keep in our mind when we are writing and when we want to deliver the message in an effective way. The first thing is we need to understand the process. Do you remember the process, understanding the process of communication? What are the three steps? Who are the two entities? Who are the two parties who will be the part of communication? Let me see whether you people remember this or not. Who are the two parties, the part of the communication? Quickly in the chat box. Oh, you people don't even remember. There are two parties whenever we are talking about communication. One is the sender, and the other one would be the Dibir Prakasham. Very good, Ranbir. Yes, it is sender and the receiver. What is shared between the sender and the receiver? What is it that we are sharing between the sender and the receiver? What is it that we share? Is there any information? Beta message. Aha, spelling, massage and message. They both are two different words, Ranveer. All right. Never ever write massage instead of message. That again gives a wrong idea and information
autocorrect
to the
होता है.
other. Okay, no problem at all. But yes, I'll appreciate if these things will not happen in your real life. Otherwise, I will be blamed. They are not going to blame you. They'll immediately blame me, saying that your teacher did not even teach you the difference between message and massage. Wonderful. So that will be a great comment, particularly for a person like me. So I'll appreciate if you can check the spellings, understand the process of communication in one. Second, we should know the target audience. That is, we should know who the receiver is. So whenever we are talking about knowing the receiver, we need to identify who the receiver is, and then what is their interest area, what is it that they are liking, what is it that they are keen to know. So whenever you are talking about knowing the audience, it is very important to identify who the listeners are, who is the recipient, that is at the receiver's end, who the person is. Whosoever is the recipient, we have to identify the person, and then accordingly you should also know one next thing is be very well informed. Whenever we are talking about be very well informed, you should know that information that we are sharing should be well conveyed, should be well communicated. If we are not able to communicate well, if we are not sharing the information in a proper way, if we are failing to share the correct information in the correct manner, what is going to happen? People will understand it in a wrong way. So therefore, whatever information that we are trying to share should be right, should be correct. And then next is, how do we plan our communication? In what way are we trying to communicate? In what way are we going to communicate information with the others? So when I say plan your communication, I'm trying to say this: whether it would be face to face, whether it would be via email, are we going to send an SMS, are we going to share the information through telephone? So we need to plan our communication. I hope everybody is trying to understand this, because when we talk about messages, say for example, you are scolding someone, and then you have to convey a negative message to a person. Do you think shouting at that person will be a good way or a good technique of sharing information? What is your opinion? If a person is not doing good, if a person is not performing as per the expectations of the organization, can we shout at them? Can we blame them? Can we criticize about their performance in public? No. There is a beautiful saying which I have quoted many a times: praise loudly, blame softly. I want every management student to write this particular quotation and keep it in front of your eyes all the working hours, because you should remember, if you're blaming someone, you have to blame him or her very softly. That means you need to come to the person, you have to make him or her understand why you are sharing the negative information, how many times you try to improvise him or her, and why ultimately you have to take such a drastic step. So please remember, it is very important to plan your communication. Even when you are sharing the negative information, the approach that you should have should be positive. What I'm trying to say is, make the person realize that it is not you who is responsible for the kind of action or the activity. It is they themselves who are responsible for the remarks that they are receiving. So even if you are writing a termination letter, even if you are firing someone, even if anybody is not performing and you are pissed off, you are really like worried about him or her, and you don't have any other alternate left rather than asking him or her to leave, or forcing him to leave the team, you should really understand what should be the positive approach, and how can you give the information in a sincere way so that they can understand the importance of sharing or giving the information. And please remember, if you want to convey any negative message, follow it along with persuasive. If there is a negative message, immediately after negative message, you have to convert your language into persuasive. Say for example, If you have to fire someone because of their indiscipline, because of their insincere activities, or because of their negligence of their job, you have to continue the conversation with a persuasive. You need to make the person realize and then bring it that positivity by persuasive messages that in future, if they take necessary steps, or in future, if they really bother to change themselves and if they really work hard in improvising themselves, how they can defeat, how they can overcome, how they can get rid of the weakness that has resulted in such a drastic step. So keep these things in your mind, that whenever we are talking about positivity, whenever we are talking about sincerity in our approach, we should always remember, if somebody is doing bad, you cannot say that you are doing good. If it is bad, you have to present it as a bad. If it is good, you will have to present it as good. Bad and good, they both are part and parcel of our life. But if you are presenting that your act is bad, immediately make sure that you communicate in a persuasive way and make the person realize that if this is bad, how can he or she put their effort, instead of converting the bad into worse or worst, they can definitely turn, they can definitely put their best effort, and they can convert the bad into good. So that approach should be there, that positivity and sincerity should be there in your approaches. So let me remind, when we talk about sharing effective messages, or if we really want to communicate in an effective way, even if we are writing a letter or if we are writing an email, point number one, the process of communication should be clearly understood. Who is the sender? What is the message? Who would be the receiver? Because if you understand the receiver, that is, you know who your target audience is, what kind of information that you are sharing, in what way you are going to share the information, whether your approach is positive and sincere or not. Appreciate the time factor. Say for example, you are working in a team and you have seen a person on that particular day putting the best effort. Actually, the person whom you are talking to, the person about whom you are thinking that he or she is not at all working as per the requirement of the team, but on that very day on which you decided to share the negative message, if you see that on that particular day the person is working very well, do not share your comment before him or her. Appreciate the time element. Know at what time you can criticize. Know at what time you can make a person understand. That is what I have stated. Whenever you have to praise someone, praise very loudly. You should clap for the person. You should give a big round of applause. You should really praise the person in local, in public. But when it comes to blaming someone, when it comes to sharing negative messages, take the person aloof, make the person realize the negative information, or even if you are persuading someone, make him or her realize why and how the person is going to bring positive change in his or her behavior if they start working. And this all can happen if you are really taking into consideration the right time. Say for example, when I have stated with you all to share certain things, say for example, if I'm asking you to submit your assignment, and if I'm asking you to submit it at 1 p.m. at night, the time factor that I have quoted is absolutely wrong. I don't know. I may be a person who may have problem with sleeping, or who may have different reasons for waking up late night. But I cannot force my students to wake up after 11 or 12. So I have to really give importance to the time factor, mode and channel. That is what I said when I was talking about plan your communication. You should know the proper mode, medium of communication, whether it will be telephonic, whether it is face to face or through email, and channel. Am I going to talk personally, or will I share this information through somebody else? So what is the channel that I'm trying to use or that I'm going to implement in order to communicate? Be very cost conscious. Many a times we share the information without keeping into consideration the cost conscious. Say for example, if somebody is not performing well, if you terminate the person and again if you hire somebody else, What is the guarantee that the other person is going to work better than the person to whom you are offering or giving the termination letter? So you should be very cost conscious. You have to see whether your steps are right steps or not, whether you are taking the decisions in the right way or not. Then obtain the feedback, collect the feedback from the person, and please remember, avoid over communication. That is, overloading the communication is again considered as very bad. So when we take into consideration these 10 steps, automatically you will see the message that you are going to communicate will be an effective one. Most of the time, when we ask people to share feedback, they are scared of sharing genuine feedback because they start looking into the repercussions. They always believe that if they will share the feedback, later on they may be blamed, later on they may be criticized, later on the same thing can act as a boomerang, and you may get back the same kind of negative comment. So this is very, very important, particularly for the students of management. You should remember, whenever you are sharing feedback, you should share constructive feedback. When I say constructive feedback, please remember, always try to highlight good things first, then come to the bad things, and then come to the persuasive style. So that is the reason why we are talking about the different kinds of messages. So whenever we talk about the messages, as we have discussed, it could be routine, it could be positive, it could be negative, or it could be persuasive. In one single letter, in one single SMS, in one single message, you can use all four. It could be a routine message in which you are sharing positive information plus negative information along with persuasive information. So don't get confused that if there is a message, it will be only a routine message or only a positive message or only a negative message or only a persuasive message. No. Sometimes it could be the combination of routine plus positive, routine plus negative, routine plus positive plus negative plus persuasive, or routine plus persuasive. There can be different combination. So you should identify what is the right mode, what is the right channel, whether your activity, whether your action is going to be cost conscious or not, how to obtain the feedback, and how to share the constructive feedback. And do not share overloaded communication, because you should know the three S that we have discussed time and again: short, simple, straightforward. Whatever we communicate, the communication should be short, simple, and straightforward. When you do that, what is going to happen? You can share the information in the right way. Now, moving ahead, when we talk about communication skills and when we are talking about writing the composition, in general, what is expected from the management students, that they should describe the different product, they should describe their experiences, they should describe about the competitors, they should describe about their personal experiences. So whenever we are talking about writing composition, these are broadly categorized into four different categories. The first one is expository, second is descriptive, third is argumentative, and the fourth is narrative. Let us understand each one of them today. So when we talk about expository, the root word, I want everybody to focus on the root word. Here the root word is expose. Can I get quickly in the chat box, when do we expose anyone? Have you come to know or have you heard the word expose? Are you familiar with the word expose? Right. So when do we expose? When do we expose? Very good, Simran. Yes, when we reveal the truth, isn't it? Yeah. And whenever we are talking about revealing truth, now, say for example, you're working in an organization, and in that organization, they are earning profit. And the profit that they have earned this quarterly is at least 8% more than what they have earned in the last quarter. That is from the month of July to September. When we see the profit ratio, this time from the month of October to December, they have performed very well. So what are you going to do? You are going to expose the information. So everybody is able to understand how do we use the composition writing. I'm not talking about the essay writing in general. We should know as a management student also, we write number of essays. And what are those essays based on? The essay could be based on exposition. The essay could be based on description. It could be on argumentation, or it could be on narration. So when we say expose, when we are revealing certain facts, when we are revealing certain truth, when we are trying to bring to the other people the necessary facts and information with evidence and proof, that is called as expository. All right. Sometimes when you are exposing the new product, you are launching a new product wherein the product was not known to anybody at all. So then again, it is unexposed. All right. Say, for example, when I talk about mobile phones, maybe 20 years or 25 years down the line, nobody was knowing that there is something which is called as mobile phone. But these days, if I say, do you know what is a mobile phone? Everybody knows it. Why? Because they are used to it. But 25 years prior to the use of mobile phone, hardly people were knowing about mobile phone. When I talk about different apps, how many apps are there installed by default in your mobile phone? Are you aware of all the apps? Quickly in the chat box. How many of you are aware of the different apps that are installed in your mobile phone by default as a default setting? Yes. Are you all checking it and then saying? So, do you have apps installed, or do you download it from the Play Store? Do you have any of the apps installed? Yes. Simran rightly stated here that yes, it is both. Some apps are default set, and there are certain apps that we have to download, isn't it? So, what are you doing? You are exposing yourself. Whenever you download, you will come to know about the product and then you download it. So, you are exposing yourself. You are exposing your ideas, you are exposing your thoughts. Even whenever you are exposing the new product, the awareness related to the new product, that would be the part of exposition. All right. Have you seen the new advertisement of Ghadi washing powder, which is in which Amitabh Bachchan is casting his role? Have you seen the new advertisement of Ghadi detergent, which is meant for washing machine? Have you seen this advertisement? So when you are seeing this advertisement earlier, it was which company which has presented that they are expert in washing powder, particularly for washing machine. Do you remember the name of the the company which is expert or which has produced a special kind of washing powder, particularly for washing machine? Can you name the company? No, you people don't remember it. It is Ariel, dear. Surf Excel is yes, another one. Surf Excel and Ariel, or Pour Rub Pour, if you remember that. And then again, Ariel, automatic, Exomatic. So therefore, there are so many such versions. Now, this is for the first time that Ghadi detergent has come up for with a special kind of product for washing machine. So what are they doing through that advertisement? They are exposing. Whenever you are describing any of the product, say for example, when you talk about the features, I don't know how many of you have watched the uh, uh, have you seen the advertisement of MG, the latest version of MG automobile? I'm talking about the vehicle. They describe their product, isn't it? They describe the product with the different advertisement. What are the features that are there in that particular product? So what are they doing? They are exposing. Yes, auto parking is there. It can even help person to ride it without touching the wheels, isn't it? So there can be different features that are getting described through that particular composition. The next is argumentative. Wherever you are arguing means going for and against. There can be certain people who may work in favor. There can be certain who say no, or who may have different opinion. All right. Or you may have seconded opinion. So keep this in your mind that there can be a product, or there can be certain situation wherein you have to draft the composition where people may have different opinion. Some may be in favor, some may be against. So such kind of composition where you have both the kind of opinions, both for and against, the kind of composition that you're going to write is argumentative. And finally, narration. Narration is something which is hypothetical. When I say hypothetical, if I talk about the IoTs, if I talk about artificial intelligence, if I'm talking about the latest technologies that are not yet applied, but still they are there only on the pages. So what are you going to do? You're going to narrate that information. I just want to recall, have you seen Transformer? Have you seen Star Wars? These movies. Quickly, have you seen the first version? So when you have seen the in computer wherein there were no monitors, but they were moving their hands in the air, and they could connect the information, they can share the information. At that time, everybody thought that it is not possible, isn't it? But when you talk about current scenario, when you're talking about these days, everybody knows that they are using artificial intelligence, isn't it? Similarly, when we were talking about remote, sensor based remote, right? So that is again possible. So what we are doing, we are narrating it. So when we are talking about the composition, whenever you are drafting the composition, whenever you are presenting the composition, keep this in your mind that these are the way that you're going to present the composition. The first, you're going to write the introduction. Introduction could be related to what you're going to expose, what you're going to describe, what are you going to argument upon, or what are you going to narrate. The following paragraphs, what I'm trying to say is the upcoming or the forthcoming paragraph, the next paragraph would be related to details, explanatory part, wherein you may talk about for or against, merit or demerit, features, advantages, benefits, disadvantages, lot many things about the pricing, about the competitions, about the comparison between the product and the competitor's product. So there can be different ways that you're going to detail the product, followed by supportive evidences. This is very, very important. And that is the reason I said that this is unlike the compositions that you people have written when you were in class 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, wherein people have asked you to write a composition or an essay on mobile and its uses. And then you start writing about mobile and how it is useful. But when you are a management student, you should know if you are asked to write mobile and its usage, you have to add on supportive evidences. You have to connect it with the features. You have to talk about the advantages. You have to talk about the benefits. You have to talk about merits as well as demerits. So supportive evidences which connects with facts and figures are to be included. And finally, you have to conclude. So whenever you are writing any composition, please remember minimum there will be 4 to 5 paragraphs. So to quickly reiterate, we begin the composition with an introduction. Then we give the detailed explanation related to that particular composition. We also include facts and figures. Without facts and figures, your composition will not be considered as a valid one. So please remember the word fact. Also remember the word figure. So if there are facts, if there are figures, do include them and do present them in the form of table, in the form of chart, in the form of graph, so that people can read it, understand it in an easy way. And finally, there is very important that this part is really very important to conclude. What is it that you are going to conclude it with? You may conclude with your opinion, you may conclude with certain recommendations, you may conclude with certain suggestion, or there can be some solution to any of the problem. So please remember, whenever we talk about composition writing, compositions, there are 4 types. Can I get quickly the name of all the 4 compositions that we have discussed today? I want to see who is going to type all the 4 names first. We discussed about the 4 different types of compositions which every management student must know how to apply and when to present what kind of composition. So what are the 4 different types of compositions that we have discussed or that were detailed in today's class? The competition is between the 8 students who are attending this particular session. Let me see who is going to be the first. Farid, you have described only 2, expository and descriptive. I'm waiting for all the 4, dear. Can I get the name of other 2 too, please? Yes. Simran rightly mentioned. Very good, Farid Alam. Yes, these are the four: expository, descriptive, argumentative, and narrative. Excellent. Rightly stated by Simran. Argumentative and narrative plus expository and descriptive. So you should remember these. What are the four components that we should always keep in our mind? Please keep this in your mind. Start it with introduction, followed by detailed explanation. Don't forget to include evidences and proof, which is related to facts and figures, and finally to conclude. I hope everybody has got the clarity whenever we talk about sharing messages or writing composition. As a management student, everybody expects that you should be good at business writing. When I say good at business writing, you may work with sales, you may work with finance team, you may be working with HR, you may be working with IT, you may be working with productions and operation management, or you may be working on certain project. So when you are part of the different department on working on different projects, sometimes you will be asked to write expository composition. Sometimes you may be describing the product or the services. Sometimes you may be argumentating, wherein you are argumenting related to the different likes and dislikes, for and against, favor and unfavor, not in favor. So you should know about all these. And finally, the narrative. That's all in today's class. I'll be uploading this video on YouTube. And in case if you have any doubts, kindly go through it. And still, if you have any doubts wherein you could not understand the things in a clear way, let us understand and in a detailed way tomorrow in the very beginning of tomorrow's class. Take care of yourself. God bless you all and have a wonderful day.